Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Tech Talk. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Jeff Blankenburg. I'm our Chief Technical Evangelist here at Alexa. And today I have the good fortune of being joined by Mark Yoshitake, who's the Director and GM for Amazon and the Alexa Skills Kit. Mark, thanks so much for being here.
Super excited to be here, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Certainly. So let's give everybody a little background on who you are before we kind of dive into our subject today.
Sure. So I've been at Amazon for about 5 years. I lead what's called the Alexa Skills Kit organization, and we're really focused on making developers successful for Alexa. The team is product managers, engineers, designers, some scientists. We really focus on the tools and capabilities that enable developers to build awesome experiences on Alexa for our end customers. Previous to that, I actually led Alexa Voice Services as the product lead. And that's basically putting Alexa into lots of different types of devices, cars, TVs, et cetera, et cetera. I currently live in Los Angeles. I've been in Silicon Valley for about 20 years. Prior to that, I spent about a decade at Google working on things like search and maps and ads, as well as YouTube. And super excited about the scale that we operate at Amazon, and excited to talk about what we've done at Alexa Live.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is we're here to recap Alexa Live and talk about some of the cool things that we announced. And I think you're the perfect person to have here, as you kind of have that overreaching scope over a lot of the things that we brought to bear here at Alexa Live. So before we get into that, though, and I have a ton of questions for you as well as our audience, there's a couple of housekeeping things I want to make sure I talk about. So we've already gotten a lot of questions from folks from a variety of channels across social media and a number of other places. So we're going to start with those questions today, and we'll see what we can get through. But on top of that, for those of you that are here watching, I want to make sure that you know there's a chat box down there on the right-hand side. Make sure you participate, share your thoughts, your questions, your comments, and we'll do our best to respond to you. But on top of that, if you miss an opportunity or maybe your question doesn't get answered, we have a Slack community. And if you're not there already, you can go to alexa.design/Slack and you can join. There's almost 3,000 developers in there today, and all of those people are there helping and sharing and working with one another to make sure everybody has all the information they need to be the best they can at being Alexa developers. So if you're not already in there and maybe your questions didn't get answered here today, that is the place to take them. You'd be amazed at the answers you'll get. So at the end of this, there will also be a survey. Please fill out the survey. We want to know that we're doing the right things for all of you. So please give us your feedback. We really do appreciate it. All right. With that, Mark, let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about related to Alexa Live is routines. What were the big routines-related announcements at Alexa Live?
Sure. So routines is a huge area for us. We launched what's called Alexa Routines Kit in developer preview at Alexa Live, and ARC is what we call it. Alexa Routines Kit enables skill builders to craft pre-built routines and offer them to their customers during the skill session. So this really opens up all kinds of new ways to drive engagement for the skill builder. A little bit of background on this. So routines are basically set off by ambient triggers, quote unquote ambient triggers. And these are things like scheduling a routine or dismissal of an Alexa alarm. So when skill builders now, that what they can do now is they can deliver useful experiences even when customers don't remember explicitly how to invoke that skill. So that's pretty awesome, and we're really excited about this new capability.
Yeah. So with the Alexa Routines Kit, ARC, what are some of the benefits that skill developers will see?
Sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you want to get those skills into routines for customers, it's actually not always really easy to enable those routines, right? Routines, sometimes you have to go into the mobile app and you have to set these things up. And really what this allows the developer to do is offer the customer the ability to enable that routine with their voice. And so what we've already seen is a significant lift in overall engagement through skills that offer these pre-built routines. And ARC, the platform, basically enables that capability to be offered to end customers. Really good examples here that we've seen so far are in sort of radio and mental health spaces, sleep sounds. Some of the major companies like NPR and All India Radio, they've used ARC to enable these offers inside of their skills, and they're definitely benefiting significantly from that.
Cool. So in many ways, we can think of the Routines Kit as a way for developers to create shortcuts for their developers to get to the content or for their users to get to where the content they want is.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so I think this is probably obvious, but I'll ask the question anyway. How does this benefit end users?
Sure. So end customers can easily discover these pre-built contextually relevant routines. And now they can enable them by simply responding with yes during the skill session. And that's many, many steps less than if you had to go to the mobile app and try to find the skill, enable this routine, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a significant benefit if the experience is something that the end customer really wanted to enable on a routine basis.
For sure. And the fact that you're catching them at the moment, right? They're already having a conversation with your skill. It's a perfect time to try to get them to say, hey, yeah, I want to do that thing also. That's perfect. So this all sounds really cool, but how do developers get started using Alexa Routines Kit? Is there anything they need to know?
Sure. Yeah. So, like any other feature that we offer, in the early phases of this, the capabilities are released as developer preview. So it's available in a limited fashion, and it's available in English locales for custom skills. It is also excluding child-directed and HIPAA-compliant skills. We'll need skill builders to request access by filling out the interest form.
Okay. Yeah, and the interest form is always a good thing to check out. For anybody that sees most of our announcements at Alexa Live, they often start with an interest form where you go fill out and say, this is why I want to use this feature, and here's the things that I want to do with it. And then the team that builds those products actually reaches out to you and says, hey, we'd love to get you into this program. Here's the next steps. Here's the docs we have available. Let's see what you got. Okay, so it sounds to me like we're not currently at a worldwide release of the Alexa Routines Kit. So is it going to release in other countries later?
As of now, the Alexa Routines Kit is in developer preview in English locales, and we're working towards making this feature available to developers globally in 2023. That's the goal.
Okay, good. Now, as we think about building a routine and some of the technical requirements that come with that, one of the requirements is that a custom skill has to come as the last item in a routine. Can we talk about why that is, or are there technical limitations on why that's the current requirements?
Sure. And that is still a constraint as we stand today. A single custom task in a routine still has to be the last in the sequence of actions. We are working to remove that constraint through a number of initiatives in the next few months. And we're still working through those challenges. One of them is that some of these skills can be really long running, right? And so we have to think through what the experiential limitations might be and what sort of guardrails we might need to put in order for this to work at scale in a generally available manner.
That makes sense. Now, I know you can include a skill in a routine, but I think today you can only include your skill in a pre-built routine. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. So is there plans to be able to open that up if I want to include someone else's in the broader picture?
Well, let's see. What we're going to start with is we will allow skills to be offered as part of if it's under the same developer ID or vendor ID, and so that at least will allow for different types of skill experiences to be offered.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, we're still working through the rest of that.
So in the broad spectrum of skills that I have created in my developer account, I could offer a different one inside a different one, but I cannot today. If you had built a skill with your own developer account, I wouldn't be able to use yours in my routines.
That's right.
Got it. I think that makes sense. All right. So what about triggers? Do we plan to add any additional predefined triggers like alarms or sound detection?
Yeah. We do plan to add more triggers. until then, you can use one of the 4 predefined triggers we have today: voice, specific time, sunrise, sunset. We're just working through what might be the most interesting to end customers, actually.
Got it. All right. And as a very customer-centric perspective, how do we ensure that a customer isn't just getting spammed with all these routine offers over and over?
Yeah, we do have multiple guardrails in place to maintain a high bar on that experience. And so, for instance, we do have a frequency cap. Effectively, it's a guardrail that limits the number of times offers can be made to customers within a specific a window of time. And we also, have the ability to block offers initiated by skills during certain times of the day as well. That may not be appropriate. So those are sort of the things that we think about at this point. But this is also why it's in depth preview. We're looking for things that we are missing, the things that we need to learn to improve over time, so that we can make great experiences, both the developer as well as for the end customer.
That's excellent. I like this. So that was our quick recap of routines. I don't have any more questions for you on that.
Great.
But I'm excited to see what people are going to build with this, because I think it really unlocks a lot of opportunities. One, for developers to increase their discoverability, but two, for their end users to have an easy way to use the things and the tasks inside their skills that they love. All right. So the next theme, if I have that, is I want to talk about monetization and the Alexa shopping kit, because I think there's a lot of really cool things going on there. So for developers that want to build businesses around Alexa skills, right, they can do that by monetizing things and implementing features like ISP to be able to do that. Can you just give us a quick overview of kind of what's the latest, what Alexa Live brought to the table that's new for developers in monetization?
Sure. Super interesting space for us. Alexa Skill Deals is an interesting one. It offers skill developers the ability to set up a discount on their in-skill purchases and also their paid skills. These discounts can basically run across a particular time window that's determined by the developer, up to a year. And the idea is that this will help skill developers attract, basically offer time-limited offers, and then lead to an increase in sales of premium content within their skills. And then obviously for end customers, they get a discounted price, right, for the premium content. So we hope that this is a win-win situation. It's generally available in the US, and we're working to, again, make it available globally as soon as possible.
That's great. And I think this also offers a solution to people that may have had a challenge in figuring out, like, how much do I want to charge for my content? I feel like I want to charge $5, but I don't know how well that's going to work. It gives them an opportunity to sell it for $5 for a few months and then offer a discount on that same product without doing a whole lot of extra work. That's to make it $3 or $3.50 or something else, and see if they increase sales, if they boost engagement on those products. So I think this is a really cool feature.
So do we.
Great. What else do you have?
So the other one that you mentioned, we also announced Alexa Shopping Kit. It's basically not just a single feature, but a comprehensive set of features that allows skill builders to embed shopping experiences within their skill. So we designed this capability so that end customers can discover, research, and purchase relevant products from within the skill. And all the skill developer really needs to do is choose the specific Amazon.com available product that they want to surface, and where they want to surface that within their skill. And we'll basically do the rest. Specifically within the context of the shopping kit, we offer 2 specific actions. One of them is add to cart for purchases that you might want to consider, and then there's the other action, which is buy immediately. These are both generally available in all Alexa locales. What this basically means is that end customers can either buy a product immediately, right, within the skill, or add it to their cart. It allows skill developers to add value as it saves their customers the time and effort to go, out of their skill, go to, the retail website, et cetera. And so we think this is a really, really interesting way for developers to monetize their experience and for end customers to have a seamless purchasing experience.
So at least with the shopping action today, if I sell a product, whether I add that to their cart or sell it directly, today I'm just selling the product. I'm providing a service to my customer. But how can skill builders make money from the shopping kit? How can they benefit from this?
We're stealing from the playbook on the retail side. We have basically Amazon Associates on Alexa, and this is basically, obviously, even if a skill builder isn't selling a product directly on Amazon, this capability allows skill builders to earn commission up to 10% on eligible purchases referred from their skills. So this is also a great way to offer other products that, again, you don't sell, or if you don't even sell products at all, another great way to earn money.
No, that's great. And so today, I think it's only products that are sold on Amazon that can be surfaced in a skill. Are we going to see the ability to sell things that are sold other places as well?
Yeah, so any product listed on Amazon.com is eligible to be surfaced within a skill as part of this shopping kit. However, there are some items that are restricted when you can find that, which you can find if you scroll down this technical documentation page. We don't currently have plans to offer an ability to sell products off Amazon.com yet.
Got it. And as Mark mentioned, if you look at the tech docs, we've just provided a link in the resources. You'll want to check that out and make sure that you're picking products that fall within the categories that are currently available today. Because as he said, there are some exceptions to those rules. So again, as we think about customer-centric behavior, and as I mentioned with routines, we had the same kind of concern. How do we stop developers from spamming users so that they're not just every turn, hey, don't forget to buy a product. Hey, don't forget to buy this thing.
Yeah, it's really similar to the routines discussion that we had as well. There are guardrails in place, basically frequency caps that cap the number of times products can be surfaced in a 24-hour period. It's also, not in the developer's best interest to overly offer things in the experience. I think they need to find a good balance in the user experience. So that they can maximize, both the engagement as well as monetization of their experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think most developers that are doing the best thing they can for their customers, trying to provide the best experience, those aren't the people that are going to be spamming people with buy offers. But in the same way, if we look around the web, there are plenty of mobile apps and websites don't really take that into consideration, and they'll just bombard you with pop-up ads and all sorts of other things. So I think there's always going to be a set of people that will try to take advantage of the system or just try to overwhelm it in a way that hopefully they'll find some sales in a way that may not have happened otherwise. But it's good to know that we're putting those safeguards in place to protect the end user. I think that's great. So I've built a skill and I'm selling a product, and now I decide there's a better thing. I want to sell something else. Can developers do that pretty easily?
Absolutely, and we hope that developers will use the analytics that we provide to offer the right types of products at the right time, see how they're performing, evaluate, and continuously make changes. It's a lot about when to offer as well as the type of products that are most relevant to the experience. This is all sort of A/B testing and tweaking that we hope that developers can do with the analytics that we provide.
Got it. Excellent. Okay, you have survived my second gauntlet, which was monetization. Congratulations. The next set of things I want to talk about was my favorite announcement from Alexa Live. And I partially say that because I got to deliver this part of the keynote at Alexa Live, but the Skill Developer Accelerator Program, or SDAP as we refer to it, that was hands down one of the things that I was the most excited about as we came into Alexa Live. Can you share with the audience how this program came about and what the point, how are we hoping to benefit developers with this?
Yeah. We originally did have a rewards program, right? And really we're revamping this in a significant way. I think we took a little bit of an inspiration from accelerator programs that are out there, where we really wanted to help developers be much more successful, not just rewarding the outcomes like here's many customers or monthly active users that the developer is able to get to, but really rewarding the right types of inputs that go into building a great experience. And so we had kind of 3 goals in mind when we were developing this brand new program, and we really debated what we wanted to do here and how we wanted to kind of build the foundations around this program. Number 1, we wanted to increase the customer engagement on these skills. That means discovery. It means that we're promoting the right types of skills in the right places. We're trying to find the right customers for you. Number 2, we're trying to grow revenues specifically. And third, we think that we want to get the developer to a level of kind of sustained business value. So building sustainable businesses for the developer is definitely one of the core things. This whole entire accelerator program is basically anchored around improving skill quality. So that's the actual experience that end customers get to engage with. And so, like if you think about it, there's no amount of marketing, right, that can correct for a poor quality experience. So we reward developers for building high quality skills. That's kind of the moniker here, right? And so the program includes what we think of as kind of a skill quality an analysis model. We'll get to that in a bit. It's called the Skill Quality Coach. But really, by leveraging the Skill Quality Coach and offering monetary incentives, which could also be used as promotional credits to increase discoverability, we think this is we're building a really interesting program, but it's still early days for us. So we're looking for feedback as we roll it out.
Yeah, you mentioned that SDAP will give quality-based incentives. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we developed skill insights. We've done this for a few years now, but really we wanted to double down in that area, not just provide sort of a checklist of here's some best practices, but we kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay, how do we truly give very practical and simple inputs into the actions that developers should take to be successful on Alexa? That was kind of the simple question that we asked. And what we built was something we call the Skill Quality Coach. And we announced that as part of Alexa Live. This is a pretty big investment that our team has made. And really think of it as the coach as a guide who's always looking out for the developer, and whose sole mission is focused on taking your skills to the next level. So really what it's doing is it's evaluating all sorts of different attributes of the skill, as well as sort of actions you're taking, as well as end customer actions that are being taken. And what we do is we assign a skill quality score. And this is a single score that is a composite of many different attributes with different weights that basically eventually get to a particular score. This score basically helps the developer understand where they are in the grand scheme of things with regards to how we think about quality in terms of experience. And this is a major focus for us.
Awesome. As I think about the Skill Quality Coach, and I build a lot of skills with the time that I have. I think it would be great almost to have like a persona that is the coach, right? He's got a hat on and like those short coach shorts and like a whistle, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, no, let's try this instead," right? Like I think that's kind of the inspiration behind some of this is like, hey, we have a lot of really great ideas and feedback and data to share with you about what works and what doesn't work in voice experiences. And the coach is meant to be the thing that kind of pushes you in the right direction to say, hey, like if you're looking for the next thing to add to your skill, let's work on this, or let's think about refactoring the way that you're approaching this problem, or add the fallback intent, or whatever it happens to be. But I think those all go a really long way in, like you said, improving quality.
Absolutely.
So with the coach, What's the hardest part about building something like that? I mean, you mentioned it was a pretty big investment, but I have to imagine that's a pretty significant undertaking to be able to analyze and look at every single skill and provide feedback on how to make it better.
Yeah. Well, we're sort of working backwards from success, right? And what types of attributes and actions correlate most with success on Alexa. And so we had to look at, hundreds of thousands of skills and then hundreds of attributes of each of those skills, running multiple regression models to try to bubble up which ones correlate most. Ideally, we want to get to causation, but correlate most that we really want to bubble up and emphasize as we build this personification of this coach. And we want to do this in a way that doesn't, the design principle was that we didn't really want to overwhelm the developer with too much data. We wanted it to be, something that's simple, that can be analyzed and tracked on a regular basis by looking at a dashboard. Some of the insights that we had, in particular, what struck us was that we needed a model that wasn't kind of overly biasing existing success. So, there's sort of a cold start problem, right? Like if we just looked at the skills that had high monthly active users, that would require the skills to already be somewhat successful, to be discovered, et cetera, et cetera. And so we needed to sort of build a model that basically took out, these monthly active users kind of correlation and really started to look at the attributes of both what made a skill successful, but also the developer actions that were being taken. Things like running A/B tests, as an example, correlated highly, right, with higher quality skill experiences. And so we basically had to debate a bunch about, how do we want to make this impactful immediately? How do we want to do this in a way that is cost effective, and we can get something out really quickly because we know this is a really important need. So that's kind of how we arrived at what we're doing, and we're super excited to see the first sort of cohort of developers go through this, and we're already seeing a lot of really interesting early signals.
Cool. I think it's kind of cool to get a little insight into the inner workings of Amazon, right? How do we think about this, and what are the problems we're deeply trying to solve? Because the result doesn't always reflect the problem we were trying to solve. It's just this new feature or this new cool thing. So thank you for sharing that. So I know this program has a number of components, and for those that may have missed them all at Alexa Live, can you give a quick recap of what SDAP really entails?
Sure. So in addition to this quality-based incentive model, we're really excited to launch increased revenue share as part of the a part of this program. We announced last December that rev share for developers that earn less than 1 million in revenues annually was changing. And when you sell an in-skill product, you previously were splitting the revenue 70-30 with Amazon, and now as of last month, actually, we're moving that to 80-20. So skills making less than $1 million in revenue per year will also receive 10% of their earnings as value back incentive as well on top of that. And then this incentive basically is paid out in cash in 2022. And in the future, the idea is that these incentives can be applied towards those promotional credits to be able to promote and advertise your skills. And that'll be across ambient home on the multimodal devices, Amazon's web properties, and mobile properties as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool because it basically gives you the equivalent of like a 90-10 split, right? You're getting 80-20 in the traditional way, and then we're also tacking on an additional 10% to you as a way to allow you to promote your skill and do other things with it, which I think is pretty exciting. So for any of you that may have missed the Skill Developer Accelerator program at Alexa Live, or you want to know more about it, there's a fantastic blog post that we've written, and you can see the link here on the screen and in the resources. So please check that out. And let's move on to our last couple of topics. As we think about roadmap, one of the things that I often talk with people about frequently is that we don't spend a lot of time talking about roadmap. We don't talk about the future very often. And so people always ask me about things like specific geographies or future plans for a particular feature. Is there anything you can share?
Sure. I mean, look, we certainly aspire to launch in all geos and markets, right? At the same time, but we really want to make sure that we also truly test the quality and validate the product's viability, really, before we ship them to all locales. And we're really focused on high quality experiences that provide the right developer experience, and this really takes time. We typically start out in the US with a handful of developers. Some of these features, we try out in the US. They did not perform as we intended, and we end up not rolling them out. And so, that's kind of a part of our process here, right? Is
Right.
when we want to sort of be fairly aggressive in terms of trying these things out. If they don't really stick or they don't work, there's not a lot of demand for them, then we have to, make a call whether or not we really want to be pushing those things to all markets or not. So that's sort of how we think about things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's absolutely a trade-off, right? I mean, if we were to build a feature and get it fully complete and tested and absolutely working exactly the way we wanted it in all geographies, we could take our roadmap and just say, well, you're not going to see anything for 2 years and we'll get back to you, right? Because there's just so much time that's involved in that. But getting real users, real developers using some of these features, even if it is only in the US, gives us enough opportunity to shape and refine that enough that, one, it probably makes the deployment and the push to other geographies easier, because now we know exactly what we have and we know that we're not going to be making a bunch of changes. But it also allows us to have a really refined grasp of how people are going to use it and the way that it needs to work and the way that it scales, right? I mean, we're also talking about technology and features that scale on a massive level, right? We're not talking about a simple website that runs on a server under our desk. There are systems and components and all of these pieces that fit together on a global scale to be able to make some of these things happen. And so it's a massive undertaking. All right, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience today related to Alexa Live?
Sure. Yes. There is something we launched that's called Alexa Learning Lab. It's a brand new kind of e-learning solution that enables developers to learn how to build Alexa skills. A lot of kind of practical hands-on learning that's in that. Write some code, get real-time feedback. We think it's a really, really great resource. I think that's something that that you guys should check out. And we started with Alexa's presentation language as sort of one of the more complex areas that we wanted to demystify a bit. And this is, really the ability to add visuals to voice-only experiences. And there's a number of different learning paths there that are pretty exciting. So, please do check that out. We're pretty excited about this new learning lab and the new platform we're building out there.
Yeah, Alexa Learning Lab is really quite exciting, I think. I talk with people all the time and they say, well, tell me about okay, I've got a skill and now I want to add APL. What I often mention to people is okay, think about all the time and energy you spent thinking how to build voice interfaces and the behind the scenes code that runs your skill. All the time you took to learn all of that. To be a master of APL, you're going to double it. APL is such a massive, massive framework. Not the weight of it's lightweight, but the amount of things you can do with it and the flexibility and the understanding you have to really be a master of APL requires a huge investment. And so I think Alexa Learning Lab really gets at the core of that by giving you a training course that walks you through understanding how the individual components work together and gives you feedback on the code that you're writing in the course. It's really quite exciting to see not only that we're teaching APL in this way, but that we have an e-learning platform now that will allow us to teach additional subjects, other kinds of content in the near future. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a really good one. And for anybody that's looking for the Alexa Learning Lab, again, you can find that link here in the resources. Please check it out. I'm really excited about where we're headed with that. So with that, I think that's everything we had for today, Mark. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to share a lot of this stuff with us, whether we're talking about the Alexa Routines Kit. And for those of you that may have missed maybe the beginning of this or didn't catch it at the time, you can sign up for the developer preview of the Alexa Routines Kit. There's a link again in the resources for that. We talked about monetization in the shopping kit. We talked about SDAP and revenue share, and certainly the Alexa Learning Lab. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And hopefully we'll see you all again very, very soon. So with that, we're going to sign off for this Tech Talk, and we'll see you very soon. Bye, everyone.